Today marks 2 years from the insurrection, and America's learned so much in those 2 years, right? Maybe not. Let's watch Lauren Boebert.
When I arrived in Congress 2 years ago, Nancy Pelosi put this hunk of garbage outside of the House chambers for members of Congress to go through. Today, they are being removed, and we are turning Pelosi's house back into the people's house.
All right, yeah, no more safety precautions for the people. Makes a lot of sense. Many are not celebrating, but are continuing to be arrested. Look at this headline. 2 years later, prosecutions of January 6 rioters continue to grow. The Justice Department's investigation of the Capitol attack, already the largest it has ever conducted, has resulted in 900 arrests, with the potential for scores of hundreds more to come. As of Wednesday, about 950 people had been charged in connection with the storming of the Capitol. Here are the numbers. 18 charged with seditious conspiracy. That's a really difficult conviction to get. 284 charged with assaulting or resisting an officer. 295 charged with obstruction of an official proceeding before Congress. And prison time for those charges varies. So this chart is pretty useful. Most defendants were sentenced to less than 6 months in prison. So that's why you see the grouping below 1 year. No big deal, you just try to take over the government. Retired New York Police Department officer Thomas Webster got the largest sentence all the way to the right. You can see he got 10 years. Video showed him assaulting an officer with a flagpole. You all might remember that video. But I know what many of you are thinking. There have been jokes that this person should be the new Speaker of the House, given that he's taken that seat before. So what about the crazy QAnon guy? The best known defendant charged with this obstruction count is Jacob Chansley, the so-called QAnon shaman, who was sentenced on it in late 2021 to 41 months in prison. So at least 7 people lost their lives in connection with January 6th, with the attack on the Capitol, and the FBI is still looking for whoever placed the pipe bombs that many people have stopped talking about. Look at this headline. The FBI offers $500,000 reward to solve January 5th, 2021 Capitol Hill pipe bomber case.
Yeah.
Francesca.
No, I mean, it's incredible that we aren't talking about that every single day. Again, shoe on the other foot, imagining if these were, if the picture that the right paints of the left, of the Black Lives Matter movement, if it were a fraction of that, right? If for some reason, these were Medicare for all, climate justice, racial justice protesters, the amount of time they would be hit with, who the felonies, the amount of the never being able to hold a job, the losing all their current jobs, losing their businesses, not being able to vote, all the things that come along with it, obviously, it would be insane. We have to constantly remember that. Look, I think it's important, 900 plus people were charged, great. 18 on seditious conspiracy, I'm pretty sure everyone wanted to overthrow the government. But the bigger story here, and I know we're gonna get into it, is that none of the goons who are actually sitting right now doing F-all in Congress, who were supplying and fueling and inciting that very riot, none of the elected officials have been brought to justice at all. So yes, you have these low level, poor folks who honestly, had been duped. A lot of them truly thought the election was stolen. Some of them were organized militias, as we saw with Oath Keepers and Proud Boys, etc. But it is just incredible to me. I feel like it took maybe a year for the shock of January 6th to wear off. And thank God at least the panel wrapped up the January 6th committee, and I think that was important for them to reach a deadline of, hey, let's at least not go past the 2-year mark here before we collect all this evidence and present it to the public. But still, the fact that no one higher up has been held responsible or held accountable for their actions is mind-boggling.
Yeah, I think Donald Trump, at the very least, not being charged is the most insane thing. He should have been the first guy that they got, and he would have been an easy get on seditious conspiracy, as he was the leader of the insurrection. I mean, to have your Secret Service be aware of what's about to go down, be aware that these people are trying to bring weapons, and for them to reroute your vehicle so that you don't go and join the mob, because you very well know that there are people there with weapons and you encourage them. And you don't call off this mob of people attacking the Capitol. I mean, there's nothing more obvious than that for seditious conspiracy. He incited an insurrection. And Merrick Garland has no backbone for him to wait until Donald Trump announces his bid for the presidency to say, you know what, now it's not under my purview. It seems like politics if I investigate this now. Dude, you had so much time to investigate the president for seditious conspiracy. You decided deliberately not to. And we can theorize the reasons why they didn't. And I think a major one is that they're afraid of what would happen if they did. They're genuinely afraid of the fascist and white Christian nationalist uprisings in the United States. And they are very quick to send the National Guard in when it's something like Standing Rock. I think that's a really good point, Francesca. The government treats fascists very differently from anti-fascists.
Yeah. I mean, and also one thing with the National Guard in this case was one thing we learned was that the National Guard was not sent in because the fear was that Trump would use them to actually be on the side of the seditious conspiracies, on the side of the rioters, and not protect the Congress people from the rioters. So I mean, that is just, but you're right. The real question is, will Merrick Garland charge Donald Trump? And also, how scared are you? They admit they're scared, but they need to start talking about it more. It can't just be who planted the pipe bomb. Every day we should be talking about who planted the pipe bomb.